Hi, Rebecca Davis here again, the Medicare Wonder Woman, because I take the wonder out of Medicare. Today I want to talk to you about Part D, what that actually is. So Part D is actually your prescription drug coverage. Now, you don't automatically get that when you get your Medicare card. This is a separate part of Medicare that you do need to pick up, because if you don't get it timely, there is a penalty. So you have 63 days to initially sign up for your Part D. And that doesn't matter if you have Medicare Part A, Medicare Part B, or both Medicare Parts A and B. You have to pick up a drug plan immediately, or you're going to get a penalty. Now, if you happen to still be working and have group health, then this doesn't apply to you. This applies to anybody that's on traditional Medicare only. So you have 63 days, that's your magic number, to pick up a drug plan to avoid the penalty. So your Part D prescription drugs, there's usually 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 tiers. These are your tiers. These are the levels of your medication. So tier 1 is usually your preferred generic drugs. So these are your drugs like lisinopril, levothyroxine, metformin. Those are generally considered tier 1 preferred generic drugs and are usually very, very inexpensive on your Part D plan. Then you have tier 2 drugs, which are kind of just your standard generic drugs. Then you have your preferred brand name drugs, which is your tier 3. And a lot of the drugs that fall under this are your heart medications like Eliquis. A lot of your insulins fall under this, like Humalog, Novolog, Trigeo, Lantus. A lot of times it will fall under your tier 3 drugs. Also on tier 3 drugs most of the time are your rescue inhalers, like for when you have asthma and things like that. So tier 3 drugs, preferred brand name. Now your tier 4 drugs are your non-preferred brand drugs. And then your tier 5 are your specialty drugs. So specialty drugs, a lot of times like Keppra, a lot of your cancer medications are on there. I believe some of your, your Caesar medications are on there. Even some of your pain patches and things like that can fall under tier 5. Some of them fall under tier 4. But when you start getting into these 2 tiers, the drugs can get very, very expensive, especially if you don't have a plan. These drugs are very expensive to get, and when you do get a plan, the plan is help paying for them. So depending on the plan, you're going to have different copays. So they're going to be in a copay situation. Depending on the plan, it could be very different. And then a lot of times starting at tier 3, sometimes even as high as tier 1, but a lot of times starting at tier 3, you're going to have a deductible. Now the current Part D deductible is $435. So if you're on a medication where the plan says there's a deductible, then you're going to pay the $435 first, and then the drug is going to go into its copay situation. So keep that in mind. You may have to pay a deductible in January to get your medications, but depending on your medication, by February or March, your deductible may be met, and then they'll go into the copay situation. The other thing you need to know when it comes to Part D is there's something called the donut hole. So the donut hole is not a carrier or a plan issue. The donut hole is actually a Medicare rule. So it doesn't matter the carrier or the plan you choose, you're going to have the donut hole on there. And what that means is after your medications have reached a certain threshold of cost, you're now going to pay 25% for all your medications until you come out of the donut hole. I believe in 2021, you go into the donut hole at 4,020 and you come out of the donut hole at 6,350. And then once you've hit this number, then all your medications get much, much cheaper, anywhere from like $1 to 5% of the cost. So they're much more affordable. Now, to get into the donut hole though, you have to, it's based on the actual drug cost, not what you spent. And that can be a little confusing too, because as we talked about just a second ago, you have copays. So if you have a $47 copay, let's say on a tier 3 drug, but now you hit the donut hole, you're going to be paying a lot more for it. But that drug that you've been paying $47 for all this time might have been as expensive as $500 actually for the retail price of that drug. And that $500 is what's going to count towards that, not your $47 copay. So it doesn't really take that long on those more expensive medications to hit that number. But to hit this number, it's actually what you have personally spent. So the money you have spent is what gets you out of the donut hole. And then once you're out, you pay a whole lot less for those medications. Now, in my course in my business, I have overall, most clients don't hit the donut hole, but I do have a large group that do. So it's very important to watch your drug cost medications. I've seen clients shop their drugs around to different pharmacies. It's no different than shoe shopping. You'd be amazed the price of one pharmacy over another on the same drug, but you want to ask what the retail price is, because your plan is going to pay X amount, but it's based off the retail price. So that'll help keep you out of the donut hole. So if you find a pharmacy that maybe is $50, $100 less each month to fill that medication, that might keep you out of the donut hole for a year. So that is smart to shop your drugs around. Be aware of that. Now, you can pick up these plans, a Part D plan. They do have a standalone version. So if you want to stay on traditional Medicare, you can pick up a standalone drug plan. The other way you can pick it up is through a Medicare Advantage plan. They are built into a lot of these plans, so you can it's part of the plan. Those are the two ways you can pick up your drug plan. You either stand alone and stay with traditional Medicare, or you can include it in a Medicare Advantage plan. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at medicarewonderwoman@gmail.com, and I'd love to help you out. Otherwise, have a great day, and I hope this helps.